Yeah? Have you ever been to Russia?
No.
Me neither.
I don't know anything about Russia, but I do know that the attitude, like the reason why the countries have such beef is because they're both like just big dick countries. They're like dick swinging countries.
Big dick energy, both of those countries. Yeah, I guess they have different approaches.
Different approach. How different are they though?
Probably not much.
I feel like the same shit's in Russia. They're like, yeah, Americans were fucking with us, so like, and that's just their like political platform. They're like, dude, we don't want the Americans to get this.
I had a guy staying with me for a while who said that like in Russia, he said that Russians are more informed than Americans are.
I bet you Americans say that too.
Exactly, which was my point. I was like, really? Are you sure? And he said, well, in Russia, we know that everything they tell us is a lie. Whereas in America, for some reason, you still believe they're telling you the truth.
Wow. I feel like it's because Russia's been through the same bullshit over and over again. And in the States, they're like, they've only been through the same bullshit for like a couple hundred years. And they're still going through like new levels of the same bullshit. Whereas in Russia, they're kind of just like on cycle. So they're just like, this is just where we live. Like, it's bullshit.
Is there a strong music scene in Russia?
I know that they have like underground, like, what is it, like post-hardcore, but like synth wave, like post-hardcore 80s synth wave, I think is like a thing there. I know that there's like synth-based music going on there that is very underground and like popular. I know that Handsome Furs went and toured there and they were like, yeah, like everything's underground. It's like underground radio.
Gotta be underground everywhere.
Yeah. I think there's a big scene of kids who just want to do it, but it's illegal. But I don't know. Yeah. I don't know if that was like a different parts of East Asia, if they were going through like contraband disco Russia.
Well, the only two acts from Russia that I ever catch wind of are Pussy Riot.
Yeah.
And I don't know his name, but the guy that dresses like an alien and sings like a... Yeah, he just...
It's so good.
He's incredible.
I laughed at that for like a second, and I was like, "This is the best fucking like techno song I've ever heard in my life."
And then you're like, "Bro, stop laughing."
I used to work out to that song. I don't work out anymore. I used to work out, period. But I used to like work out, and like the first song would be. That's probably why I stopped. I was like, I just want to dance. Yeah.
Incredible. What is that guy, Castrato or something?
That's not Castro. I don't know.
Castrato.
I can pull it up.
Do you listen to music when you work out?
I did, and then I started watching Lord of the Rings when I worked out, and then I was like, "Why am I working out? I don't need to do this."
Did you start from the beginning every time, and you were like, "I'm gonna make it"?
I'd continue. I would just loop. I would loop through the trilogy, the Netflix, like whatever they had available. I looped through that, and I'd watch stand up while I was working out too.
Oh yeah,
and those are like, I don't watch stand up in my spare time. And I now no longer work out in my spare time. So now I know like why that was happening.
Sounds like stand-up was the wrong choice.
Maybe. I used to listen to Clamps Casino when I worked out too.
Clamps
Casino.
And
like OG Mako, I think.
I really like listening to just whatever the fuck, like people talking. Just like news. Or like sometimes I'll even put on like this is more when I'm like studying or like really trying to get through something, or like even like composing, like trying to write something out. I put on like the news, like I'll just put on like, or ads, like a compilation of ads from the 90s or something. A compilation of
ads. I fall asleep every single fucking night. I fall asleep to this guy talking about like Marvel, not just Marvel, just comics lore.
Cool.
Every single night. I don't read comics. I do now because I absorbed too much lore. I got sucked in. Every single night I fall asleep to this guy talking about like important like milestones in the history of DC and Marvel Comics, and just being like, okay, so what we're gonna do here, and just explaining like important like Daredevil like runs from the 90s. And I've gotten so into it, I'm sort of just like, should I be like reading books right now, or is this okay? Like, is this fine?
The internet's a dangerous place if you don't have a lot of free time already.
If you have too much free, either or,
yeah, you get right into all of the lore behind. Man, there's got to be so many. Like they wrote thousands. They're still writing comic books, right?
Yeah.
Marvel and DC.
The two of them.
I can't keep that shit straight, man. I don't know.
I was always scared to read comics because I was like, there's hundreds of years to catch up on. But then I caught up. I heard what was important. And now I'm reading the 2019 publication of Guardians of the Galaxy, and I'm like,
wait, publication?
Oh yes, it's like the comics.
The comic.
Yeah.
Is it built is it made after a movie, or is it like
it's just similar? They're kind of like
story?
mirroring each other now. They started making those movies that mirrored the comics, and now the comics sort of mirror the movies. It's like an echo chamber. I think DC's making better comics, Marvel's making better movies. It's been so much fun because like I've been at like I really cared about like my taste in things before, and I've been like, oh, I want to absorb like good content, I want to absorb good material.
Yeah.
And now I'm just like, yeah, I really want to see the next Marvel movie. Like, and now I just really want to absorb some like comic book lore.
You only got one more. You only got one more to see,
baby. I've got my ticket.
Man, what happened? Was Bruce Banner really Loki? Is that why he couldn't change?
He wasn't Loki.
Spoiler alert.
He wasn't Loki, and like Captain America and Tony Stark are both gonna die.
They're both gonna die. They have to.
Yeah.
They have to.
I know that the Hulk wasn't Loki. If Loki's still alive, he's got nothing to do with Banner.
Well, he died at the beginning of the movie, right? Mm-hmm. See, that's
unceremoniously.
Yeah, and that's a huge trickster giveaway.
Classic trickster shit.
Classic trickster move.
They can only bring him back so many times, though.
Yeah, I mean, they said that the last 5 times.
I know, exactly. And they said that when they killed him, too. Okay, I'll welcome him back. There's a lot of, like, hate on for the Disney monopoly.
The who?
The Disney monopoly.
Oh,
like, how
right.
Disney owns, like, 25% of the film's industry.
And they just bought Fox, too?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Which, like, I was, like, kind of taken off guard because I was only approaching that from a, like, Marvel perspective. I was like, I want to see all the fucking I was like, I want to see the X-Men and shit. And then everyone was like, hey, like monopolies are bad. And I was like, oh yeah, like this is pretty sketch. Like capitalism is bad, but like I'm really excited to see Doctor Doom.
Yeah, with a cameo by MF. Could you imagine?
It'd be a cameo by MF Doom, but it wouldn't actually be him. He used to do all the shows and just like send some guy in to wear the mask and lip sync, and that was like an issue.
That makes sense.
I think that's fucking sick. That's like when people showed up at the Death Grip shows and they would just leave like a suicide note, like from like a fan supposedly. But I think that's kind of I think I would be excited. I'd be like, all right, I wouldn't be like, oh man, I'm part of a piece. This is sick. I'd be like, they got us, dude. They got us, and we love them. So this is what it is.
Yeah.
We're gonna go down in history as the shitty fans. People used to like break their drum kit and stuff.
Fuck. I bet Death Grip fans are pretty intense. Have you ever been to a Death Grip show? No?
No.
Fuck, I wish.
I saw, what type of show was it? I saw a show for an artist recently, like just a video of a show, or maybe it was I listened to something. I think it was Show Me the Body. And I expected some, like, for some reason I thought they were like rave hardcore music, like electronic, but like with like hardcore drums and stuff. I listened to one of their new things recently, and it was just straight up like hardcore, like kind of like punk. And I was like, it's a nice surprise. It's a nice surprise to get like taken off guard with like what you think, because it's so easy to like not listen to someone and just have an idea of what they are, and I'd listen to one song and be like, yeah, I know what that's all about.
Yeah, it's true. And everything is so different nowadays. There's so much possibility to be totally unique that you have to take that chance and like really check people out.
I wonder if there's more like room for being totally unique. Like I wonder if it's like any different, like, because I think everyone still gets influenced just as much. Like when I hear a bunch of shit I really like, or when I hear a bunch of shit that I think is really important, then for the next little bit in my mind, I'm like, I gotta do something important like this. I gotta ride this like wave. And like, that's the exact opposite of what makes it important, like important, quote unquote. But that's the exact opposite of what makes it like something to like latch onto and something to be like a milestone, because like it was important. It came off as important because it hadn't been done, but it was just an approach that was fresh.
Do you think the freshness makes it important?
I think it's
like that's part of it.
I think they're kind of like, it's like fresh because it's important. It's important because it's fresh. Which is like,
it's a loop. It's a cycle.
Yeah,
it's true. I think that's kind of like the forging of genre. We were talking about genre before.
Yeah,
I think that's how genres are formed. You do something that is fresh and important, and it resonates with so many people, and then you get like this huge movement.
That's what makes the framework behind it.
That's what makes the framework.
That's what makes the ideas and like, I don't want to say rules, but in a way, the rules, the playbook that makes it a genre. Yeah. And that's why when you're like, oh, this is so important, I want to do this, that's what I try to hold myself back from, because I'm like, because as soon as I'm like, oh, I've got to make my my bass notes sound like this. I've got to like hit this exact like dance like pattern with this exact BPM. As soon as I start thinking like that, it doesn't feel fun and fresh to make. As soon as I'm like, and everyone knows this, everyone's like, yeah, don't like put pressure on yourself to do a certain thing, but it's hard not to actually fall into it when something happens and you're like, this is very important. When you're just like witnessing the rise of like Charlie XCX and you're like, I should make pop music exactly like this.
Yeah.
Like I grew up strictly on like Britney Spears and like Aqua, which I'm also behind. I'm behind that. But you get like, it's hard. Like I don't want to like neglect my own influences too. And I think that's easy to do. I think it's easy to like take a look at the landscape and be like, this is super important, and not remember what's important to like you specifically.
Yeah, for real. Yeah, it's really easy to, how would you say it? It's really easy to like latch on to a genre.
Yeah.
Because of the feeling it gives you, and think that, I mean, this is debatable, but think that it's just the music giving you that feeling.
Oh, without like thinking about the context in your life. Exactly. And like when you first heard it and stuff.
Exactly. I think about this all the time with like protest music.
Yeah.
You know?
I associate it with music that I listened to when I was smoking weed in the woods at age 16. Yeah. Like when I hear anything that sounds like a microphone's guitar, like the microphones, anything guitar like that, like Phil Elverum's early stuff, I'm like, this music is what means a lot. And that's like young fathers will have sounds like reminiscent of that, and I'm like, this music is really important. This is fucking sick.
Yeah, but that feeling, it doesn't just come, because you could reproduce the music. You know, you could do something very similar. Like you could even, like now, I just found these like AI algorithms that will recreate like you type in like Beethoven and it'll just play something that sounds like Beethoven. Like
it'll just make it up.
It'll make it up based on
Beethoven.
Beethoven. But based on the just the way Beethoven wrote most of his music, and it sounds. And I mean I've listened to a lot of Beethoven. It sounds exactly like it.
That's just like a big old version of the Logic like drum machine. That's like, yeah, you can just select trap drummer and it'll make you can just Beethoven if you want to be. You can just Beethoven easily.
Beethoven.
I want to be, but I know that ain't me.
Well, there's got to be a band called Beat Haven by now, right?
There's got to be a band called
Beat Haven?
Rage Against the Machine.
Ooh, I don't know if you get away with that one.
Too many.
Might be 1.5 billion people that
I'm not from Lachine, so I shouldn't talk about that.
Or the Lachine. The China.
Oh,
you might be from the China.
Il y a aucune fille si belle que les filles québécoises.
Well, I was listening to some of your stuff. Well, I listen to all of it, but you do vocals on some of your stuff too, right?
Yeah, I'm at this point. I'm producing almost all of it, and I'm doing vocals on almost everything. I used to just produce, and I used to be a drummer before that, and now I'm just like...
It's probably a good start.
It was a good start, but I think I overthink my beats too hard sometimes. I don't know like if I'm as rhythmic as I thought I was. But I just got to a point where I was like, no, I want to sing too. I want to sing and dance around. Sorry, what were you saying though?
Well, whatever you're talking about is what I'm saying. What I was thinking was like, did you start wanting to be a producer, or because you said you came from like kind of an indie rock background? Yeah. Were you like, I'm going to be a singer rock star, or are you like, I just want to make music and I'm going to do that? I was always playing drums, and I was always in like, first I was just in like a band. Like there's no other way to say it. We were just in a band. We was in a band called Trip Lewis. That was our like band till like grade 9. And then I was in a band called Pat Bateman and the Mean Monsoon, which was like derivative of like the big like blues rock, like Arctic Monkeys, Black Keys at that time, like 2012 or 13. Yeah. And then I was in like punk bands and stuff, and like silly projects, like punk bands, and then like joke projects that were like hard punk drums mixed with like synthesizers. But the whole time I was really like attracted to like riffy hooky music. And in like the 20 like teens, like the early ones specifically, we were coming from that wave of like indie pop where it was like there's like Los Campesinos that was just like hook driven, like very self-aware but like quippy and like fun lyrics.
we were coming off of like Grizzly Bear and Passion Pit and stuff. And so I was like in St. John, New Brunswick, the scene was very much like punk. It was very much like every single person wearing jean jackets, which I'm down for. I'm very down for. I was one of those people, had a nose piercing, like to mosh.
Do what you feel.
Do what you got to do. Enjoy yourself. And I was like, yeah, but I want to make like hooky, like poppy music. I wanted to like, I was just very attracted to riffs and hooks. Mm-hmm. And what was the question?
Oh, well, just how you got started.
Oh, how I got here. Oh yeah. And
riffs and hooks, it sounds like.
Riffs and hooks. And I started making, I got like a synth, and I started making like on the classic microKORG, like first synth, which I still have. It has like 8 keys that work still.
You only need 8.
Only need 8. Play your cards right. You can do
whole scale.
6. What am I saying? Oh yeah. And I started just making like side music from that. And I like had this like vision. I was like, oh, I want to be like poppy and hopeful. Like I wanted to like represent like indomitable like spirit and will. And so that went from like playing drums on my own tracks with like a synth line I composed and having my like friend play bass. Cause I was on a Shark Tooth Records, which was like a defunct St. John label. Yeah, rest in peace. With like, which was really cool because I was on it with like, you know, it was myself, and it was, I think, the band we were in at the time, Stegosaurus, which is still active here. Sick. And then there was like Shamir, who's like a big pop, like indie pop deal now. Shamir's old band, Anorexia. There was the first like pop single, Lionheart, and there was the Hooded Fang side project on it. And I like got to be like placed there just doing like a synth pop song, but recorded the same way that you'd record like any lo-fi bedroom pop, like not quite bedroom pop or lo-fi, but like if you put something too noisy in the bedroom, lo-fi bedroom pop. And that just evolved. Like there was a time where we were like, we wanted to make like rap beats. We were like the classic like rural kids who were like, bro, like we should rap. And just like we did our best with that. We did our best to let that lay in the past.
Did you have a big crew out in St. John?
Big crew what?
Big crew of homies and musicians and artists and shit?
Yeah, I think we were part of like a big scene. But it was like, there was a lot of like, there was hardcore, like a lot of hardcore bands were like a big thing when we were like in grade 12 or whatever, which would be like 2014. And hardcore bands would come down from Moncton and play. And we'd be playing those shows either like with our like punk band, like our garage band, or there was like occasions in which I played shows with like an acoustic guitar and accordion. And I was playing accordion and learning how to play like riffs. And I've been a riff man, and I've been like a hook man. Like I was playing like I was really into that like epic like stadium indie rock for a bit. So I was on that like huge lead hook wave, but playing it in like a punk scene. And that's why I thought
stadium indie rock. That's like Strokes shit.
Like Arcade Fire, Strokes too.
Grizzly
Arcade
Bear
Fire,
too.
like Grizzly Bear.
They all opened for one another. Yeah. From 2008 to 2013.
The golden age of modern indie fucking rock. It was like 2008 to like 2013. Exactly. Yeah.
When Pitchfork stocks just soared,
and when everyone was really all about it, everyone was like, "Dude, Pitchfork didn't give you a super good review. Pitchfork gave Born Ruffians a bad review when I was that age, and I was like, fuck that. I disavowed Pitchfork.
Man,
I loved Born Ruffians.
I'm starting to think that I look for the bad reviews on Pitchfork now, because I know that's probably some pretty good fucking
I hope
music.
they gave me some bad shit. If they give me some good stuff, I'll be like, thanks, guys. But
yeah,
it'd be, just to be nominated.
Just to be nominated would be such an honor. Just trying to break into the industry. No, I mean, I have mutual friends with a band from Montreal who are fantastic.
Whom?
Well, I don't want a bunch of people looking up their horrible review on Pitchfork. But,
no, we just expressed that it's a selling point. Everyone's all about it.
Yeah, but they're a huge band. The Soons. I don't know if you've ever heard of the Soons. Great. The
Soons, SOONS.
SUUNS.
Ooh.
Yeah. Fantastic. Just the coolest, most like modern guitar. Like the guitar riffs are off the hook. The fucking vocalist is super good.
What are the tones like? The guitar tones.
Guitar tone. He goes through a ton of tones.
I want to make sense that are just guitar tones, because guitar tones have this like, I don't know. They have a feeling to them.
There's obviously. There's a rich analog quality to the guitar.
Like if you made Radiohead like riffs with like like
fucking
creepy strokes,
like Panda Bear,
songs.
That's what this band's like.
and a little Panda Bear thrown in. Maybe
I'm sort of all about it.
they're so good. They're
Animal
fantastic.
Collective also falls into like the
Yeah.
anthemic indie rock
Yeah.
thing. Anthemic was the key word, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. But they had a big song where they sold this one song to like a bunch of trailers and Nike bought it. Fucking
Huge riff.
Really?
Like
How's
that
it
big,
go? Sing
It's
it.
the riffiest fucking music you'll ever hear. It's
Sing
so
it.
good. And
Sing it.
like that one lick that I think it was a Nike commercial. There's a bunch of Lakers.
Dude,
playing
is it a
basketball in
lick or is it a riff?
2020. This lick riff is just like a crazy like 2-octave dive bomb slide on the guitar.
Dude.
Boo, 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 boo.
it's heavy. It's really
Now it sounds like everything.
Yeah.
But back
But when
then,
it first, when you first hear a riff, that like pushes the riff game.
it's the riff boundary.
Yeah, when you open a rift in the riff boundary, you're like, you hear it and you're like, this is sick. Like you hear the first 2 notes of the riff and you're like, I like this. And that's what like appealed to me so much because I was always playing drums and stuff, and like I started playing like hooks, and I was like, I want to make these big hooks. I liked Bruce Springsteen growing up, so I was like, I want these rousing anthemic hooks. And like when you first make that riff before it gets like accepted into the riff, not chronology, but like the riff,
The riff canon.
yeah, exactly. Yes, thank you. Before it gets accepted in the riff canon, the first like 15 times anyone hears it, you're like, holy fuck.
That's the ticket.
They're like, I didn't know I could be this fired up. I didn't know I wanted to fight in an army of lovers before.
Oh man, yeah.
I didn't know how romantic life could
I
be.
didn't know I could make it to the moon on my own.
I didn't know. Simply, I didn't make it. Precisely. I didn't know I could make it to the moon on my own.
What is it about a
And with the
good
help of my
riff?
friends, too.
Yeah.
You can't forget about friendship. I think that riffs are they inherently are like, you gotta love your friends. You gotta believe in yourself.
Positivity. It's just a dose. A good riff is like a dose of
It's so much
dopamine.
fun. And that's why a good riff in like a sad song is even better. That's where you get sad bangers.
Oh yeah. Good sad riffs.
Or like a
sad
happy riff
riffs.
and a sad chord progression, and you're like, I feel so many different ways.
Yeah.
That ties back to making music for kids who are smoking weed at 16 years old in the woods. Then that ties back into making like microphones, because I want to use like textures like that, like microphones, like acoustic guitar that sounds so like woolly and full, and then like a riff that makes you feel like you're like driving in the back of your mom's car and you're like sad and happy at the same time.
Mm-hmm. You can pack a lot of different emotions into one single riff. Mm-hmm. 1 2-bar pattern
on a MIDI controller that costs like $30.
Yeah. Have you ever seen those guitar midis? Guitar bass midis?
What do you mean?
It's like a guitar. It's only been described to me. I haven't even looked it up.
Like Guitar Hero 3?
I guess. That's how I imagine it. It's just a bunch of buttons.
What is it? Wait, is it like just like, because I know that there's like,
You put MIDI data in through a guitar.
I've seen that.
Instead of
I
a-
worked at a music school when I was in grade 12. I taught kids like, I'm not a great teacher. I
Taught
could only
kids how
teach
to
kids
fight the system.
I taught kids how to actually just fight. I told them I was teaching them drums, but that comes inherently.
We just
It was
fought.
mostly combat. It was mostly combat based. But they were
Teach them all the riffs, all the fucking hooks.
all the hooks. I'm not even like I miss playing the drums. Anyway, what are we talking about? Drums, hooks, kids being taught. Oh, I was playing with an old man, an old New Brunswick man, who would he had the MIDI guitar going, and he'd use it to play like he'd be doing like Sitting on the Dock by the Bay by Lou Reed. We'd all be jamming at the end of our session, the group jam, School of Rock style. And he would switch to like saxophone on his guitar, like, you know, the type of like old like scraggly. He looks like an old like mutt dog, kind of like guitar dude from like leftover from like the 80s and 70s, who grew up like a guitar nerd, and he's just still around. He's like
Historical residue.
Yeah, exactly. He's got resin all over him. It was that type of dude, and he had an MIDI guitar, and more trouble than it's worth, maybe, but super fun. I don't think there's like
so
a
you
need
just
for one.
you just switched.
He switched to like
just like
saxophone.
MIDI.
He switched to whistle. He was having fun.
Switched to anything.
God bless his heart.
Hopefully, no.
Told me stories like about like doing mushrooms in high school when the kids were gone. He was like, yeah, one time I got like right high on mushrooms, and we played a show at the talent show at St. Max. It must have been 1987, and I was like, fuck, that's sick. I'd be like, that's crazy.
Still under the Iron Curtain.
Hey, precisely. St. John at that point was still mostly under the Iron Curtain. Yeah, certainly.
I gotta go back to the Maritimes, man. I miss it.
It has raw energy. I love the Maritimes.
Yeah, it has a raw kind of misty briskness to
The fog
it.
gets to me. I write a lot of lyrics about fog.
The fog,
Fog
yeah.
at nighttime.
I still don't know what St. John's, Newfoundland looks like. But pulled in at 7 p.m. It was foggy.
Colorful homes,
Left at
hills.
2 a.m.,
St.
foggy.
John's, I
No
loved
idea.
it. The first time I visited, I was like, this is like Fredericton, St. John, and like Halifax combined. It's just got like nice hills, nice streets,
Downtown.
rowdy ass
trip.
people. Fucking,
It's like a pirate town.
it is a pirate town.
Yeah.
That's why I'm very attracted to One Piece as like a mythology I watch. I'm caught up on One Piece.
What's One Piece?
Really?
Oh yeah, I'm caught
What's
up
One Piece,
You're
you
like
kid,
the
you kids?
one person that
on the
I know
One
who
Piece.
is.
Yo, and when you meet someone who is, my friend caught up recently, and I was like, he's from PEI. I hadn't spoken to him like face to face in years, and I was like, let's video call, man. We got to talk about some theories, dude. One Piece is just this anime. It's been running, and a manga. It's been running for like 20 years. And it hasn't gone stale at all. Like they haven't like been like messing around, like making filler.
They haven't got crazy yet.
No, they've gotten crazy.
Oh, yeah?
It progressively gets crazier. It's paced so well.
That's the thing. That's the ticket to making a good anime is pacing.
Yeah,
because
that's why Hunter x Hunter was so good because the
gotta-
pacing's unique.
Yeah, you got to do the you know Goku can't when he's a kid.
Goku can't do shit.
He can't. You can't go crazy the first 20 episodes. He's just learning
Dragon Ball Z wasn't supposed to
Kung Fu.
happen though. You can tell.
Dragon Ball Z was like
somebody pointed out that like
a
because
marketing
Dragon Ball Z's like a retelling of Journey to the East or the West or whatever. It's like just a traditional tale.
Yeah.
Dragon Ball is, yeah, and then Dragon Ball Z is like a continuation past the like confines of the original Journey to the East like adaptation. So somebody was like, yeah, imagine if they took a fairy tale and then the fairy tale turned into people like fighting aliens and firing like energy blasts, and I was like, that's so fucking
That's
sick.
all it is, dude.
That's the only way to retell a story.
Yeah. Well, anime always gets crazy. When I was in high school, I started watching Naruto, and I love Naruto.
Yeah,
It's fantastic.
I would die for Naruto. I would die for him.
Yeah, me too. Me too.
I think that's a big
I would.
a big role like in the Fireball character because I was like such a like earnest. I'm still earnest, but I was a 16-year-old. I was like so earnest, and I was so like, dude, like it's all about your best friends. It's all about like believing in yourself.
Well, it's your
And I was
senpai
watching-
tag, isn't
yeah,
it?
precisely.
Yeah.
And I was watching Naruto, and I was like, I went through a bad breakup in grade 12. Watched like 150 episodes of Naruto Shippuden, and I was like, life is so crazy. Life is so beautiful. I gotta run to the bathroom.
Anime
honestly.
really got there. Go for it, man. Right
Is that
there.
okay?
Okay, as an anime though, the big thing that you have to worry about is what would you call it? The inflation of
Power levels?
powers. The power inflation. You know, because you
worry
start
about that in
Naruto
real
and
life.
everyone's just doing jutsus.
Oh, that's why everyone's
and
so mad about the end
breakdancing.
of Naruto Shippuden too. Is because they got
Don't spoil it.
They call it the Dragon Ball Z effect, where you get to the point where everyone's just like shattering universes.
Yeah.
I used to have that problem when I was a kid, like in the bathtub. I'd
Go
be
on.
like, because I'd be playing out my tales, my stories with all my characters who are little toys, and I'd get to the point where like the storylines got to like, okay, like the universe is in like peril, and then what's next? Like a couple dimensions are in peril. Every dimension is in peril. And this was just in the bathtub. So think about if you're telling a years long story.
It takes
The
control.
power levels get too high.
It takes control. See, that's what I like about One Punch Man.
Oh,
One
it's a
Punch
subversion of the genre.
It's a
If
subversion
you
of the
like
genre.
One Punch Man, you have to watch Mob Psycho 100.
Mob Psycho?
Mob Psycho.
Mob Psycho 100.
It's the most like beautiful, like earnest. It's just very, not just heartfelt, but full of heart too. Because it takes the same like, oh, this kid's the strongest, and it's just about him like wanting to be. He's in middle school. He wants to like be happy. He wants to fit in. He doesn't think his powers make him special. They don't. In real life too, they don't make you special.
They don't make-
even if it's just like a talent and not a like psycho like like even if it's a talent and not a telepathic thing going on. And the whole thing is he just wants to like connect to people and like be happy, and like it's so beautiful. It's actually just like the sweetest thing I've ever seen. And they have like really creative animation too. They'll switch between like charcoal and like pastel and shit, but in general it's just like this has a lot of heart.
Oh, that's cool.
It's fucking tight.
I haven't watched an anime. I think One Punch Man was the last one I watched.
I think the season 2 is coming out right now.
And Cowboy
Yeah.
Bebop. I went back and did Cowboy Bebop again.
That's sick.
Fucking awesome, dude.
I like that there's shows like that like everyone gets into. Like everyone like has like some sort of relationship with like Cowboy Bebop, or
Yeah.
like one of the big like anime that have come out in a while.
Full Metal Alchemist.
Brotherhood, yeah, big fucking time.
I never got into Bleach, but apparently they made a movie about Bleach.
I tried to get into Bleach.
How
I
is
couldn't
it?
do it.
No?
There's
So many genres.
I don't know if it was filler or if it was like, or if it was just like a slow start to the show. But I couldn't do it. I wanted that lore. I just want to absorb lore.
You seem to be someone interested in lore.
I'm all about lore. And it actually is like
Lore Lord.
It's lore fucking king. It's turned into a. I accidentally moved into a home like starting in May 1st that has like it's got a mural on the side, and I just wanted the home at first. And like I'm like, yeah, I watch like anime a lot, but I don't want to be like, oh, anime's my whole like aesthetic. Like anime's my like thing. Like it's my whole like selling point. Like no, I just really like the storytelling. Yeah. Like I'll check out other stories too. But I accidentally moved into a house with like an anime adjacent mural on the side, and I'm like, man, like my friends are gonna roast the shit out of me for this. They're gonna be like, oh, that's sick, Colin. You really you're fetishizing Eastern culture, right? That's really cool. That's cool, man. No, that's sick, man. Yeah, whatever. I'd be like, no, guys,
anime adjacent.
It was a mistake. Yeah, like it's like said? I think it was like somebody like it's not like quite an anime like person. It's not like quite like that style, but it's pretty like close. It's like the angles and like whatnot are all drawn similarly. Like the eyes are drawn like how like a mangekyo would like draw the eyes. And I'm just like, I didn't know that. I just went to check out the house and I was like, this is sick. I'm taking it. And I'm living in like an anime house.
But now you're typecast.
I am typecasted right away.
As the anime guy.
I already named myself the Fireball Kid.
Where's that come from?
I was 16 years old. Perfect time for an origin story. 16 years old.
I know
where it all comes together.
To me being 16.
You know what they say.
Go on.
Not just the liquor, but also the disease. Let me think. Oh yeah, I was 16 and this guy brought up a fighter. This guy Chris I was good friends with at the time brought up a fighter, and he was like, this is I don't remember his name, but he was like an MMA fighter, and they were like, yeah, they call him Fireball Kid because he just goes super hard. Like he just gets super excited. He just has like very like strong spirit in the ring. And I don't know anything about MMA, but I was like, Fireball Kid, that's my name now. Because I'd been obsessed with like, the Indomitable Spirit, and I'd been obsessed with making like the hopeful electronic music. I just wanted to make hopeful music more than anything. Cool. That's where the riffs come together and like the electronic aspect comes together, because I think like techno organic sounds are cool. Yeah. Like techno music, but like programmed with like a lot of like human attention and like human like attachment to what the like sound comes out like. And I was like, yeah, Fireball Kid, that's me, 100%. I didn't know I had red hair at the time. Like, it's like kind of orangey red. People give me like, they're like, you had red hair, dude. I didn't know that at the time.
Yeah. I don't know.
It's like when the beard comes out, the beard's red.
You get a tinge of ginger.
Yeah, people think I'm a big old ginge. I think I'm just ginger adjacent.
Yeah, you're ginger.
But people know, I'm like, yeah, dude, I'm the Fireball Kid. And they're like, oh, like, cause the hair? And I'm like, yeah. Okay. Yeah. I'm like, dude, more about the Indomitable Spirit, but yeah.
Making, because your music is super like it's very fun to listen to.
Thank you.
It's very like, it feels like positive music.
Good.
You know, it doesn't feel like that trap that artists get into of being like, but what's my story, my pain?
Yeah.
You know, I gotta tell my pain.
My story is just hope.
Yeah, it's very hopeful music.
My pain is hopeful too, bro.
And you're very collaborative as well. You have so many people playing on your stuff.
Well, I literally don't think I can do anything without my friends. Like, I think I'm pretty, like, well, truly, like, I think I'm pretty, like, a pretty good songwriter. Like, I'm a decent producer. But Seth is an amazing singer. Seth,
this is your partner.
He's Eurostar, who I like my collaborative partner, who I like, I think I learned to sing basically by copying him, and like we both take a lot of cues from each other's writing. But like at first I was just making beats for him, and then there's Dexter DVD, who is like an amazing electronic producer, like the best fucking DJ too. He's so much fun. But my projects like for the last few years have been like make the whole thing with like Seth like on board, like have as many people around as I can just to get their like opinions and energy, and just like I like producing like with a room full of people but they're all just doing their own thing.
Oh cool. Yeah.
And I can be like, I'm just like absorbing the like energy and being like, okay, like we're all having fun here, like I'm just taking into like the mood, and if I need to I'm like, what do you guys think sounds better, like this or this? But with Seth's like songwriting and like ideas, and then like Dexter's Dexter's composition and ideas and like technical like prowess.
That kid's a whiz.
Dude, he's so fucking good.
Yeah.
He's so good. And he's just glowing up so fast. Like everyone meets him and they're like, dude, we gotta play a show together. Because he nails everything that every Montreal like scene is like trying to do. He's got this super hard like rave music, like super fast and super hard, but it's also super fun. Like he emphasized that in his remix of Shake It by Metro Station. He's just like everything the city's all about, because the dance music is so strong here. And I try to show that in my pop music too. I try to be like, I'm not just like trying to like ride the wave. It's just like, I'm like, okay, this is fun. This is what it's all about. Like I want that, like, it's not quite a 4 on the floor here. There's a lot of 4 on the floor energy, but there's also like really like swingy, like funky hi-hats and like snares and stuff. So there's like a lot of dance ideals to ride here, and like bringing Dexter in and bringing Seth in and just like being around people like brings that into my music. It's sick. So yeah, definitely can't do without my friends.
There's so many great positive people in Montreal too. I think now is such a wonderful time for musicians to shine.
Yeah,
because everywhere you look, and when I say everywhere, I mean on your phone.
Yeah, same thing.
Same thing. Everything's so dark and dreary and depressing or negative, constantly negative. And Montreal is like only young, hopeful people.
And when it's negative, it's like goss. And I don't think that's
all
like
goss.
I think that their negative is like actually positive.
It's all rumors and hearsay.
It's beautiful. It's a hopeful look.
I know.
It just happens to be painted black.
That's what I've noticed in especially the last 6 months. Going to a bunch of the shows of the people you mentioned, is you get this feeling of total escape to the music, like total surrender to the feeling that music gives people. Not on some like, why is it better? Why, like, not on like this genre is better than that genre, or like, well, we have to do this to make it
just full on, like, this is what we're doing. This is
Exactly.
sick.
You know, I went to a show and I saw the first person is doing like dream pop and then rap and then shadow puppets.
Whoa.
And then
wait, literal shadow puppets?
Literally with a spotlight on the wall. It was the trippiest fucking thing I've ever seen. It was so cool. It was like, do what you feel. So awesome.
That's so sick.
And then
I want to perform just as a shadow puppet collective.
Oh man, I wish I remembered his name. I'm sorry. I'll shout you out later.
King of the shadow puppets.
King of the last of the shadow puppets.
Yeah, Lord.
Trademarked already. And then there was like a noise guy shredding the drums.
Noise goes hard as fuck here.
Show.
Oh, was this like last weekend?
This was
like
last
recently.
weekend, was a show right around.
Because I know that there was a drum guy who went hard as fuck.
Yeah, what's that guy's name?
I don't know his name, but he's offering drum lessons
Nick
right now.
Doing his job, he'd be able to tell me.
Nick.
But that guy's great. He's so good. He plays the drums and he produces all of his own music.
Yeah, he's giving lessons for like drumming and producing, and I'm like, shit, is this guy like? He's doing all the stuff that I agree with doing, but he's better. Like, fuck. But I'm not actually waiting. It's all good.
Better.
Different. There's no better. It's literally like I'm singing like
fuck out of those.
Yeah,
drums.
dude. People were like, he's bleeding all over the place, and I was like, I used to bleed all over the place, but he's bleeding the fuck all over the place for his art and love and livelihood.
Yeah,
like
it
that's
like
very what he's fucking doing. It's sick.
That's what he's about. It seems to be very much about the community. Like really, all of these people I've met seem to be making the music explicitly for their friends.
It's the same, like explicitly for and with, like for because you know that like these people are like behind you, which like honestly frees you up to make music for everyone. I think if you're just like, I'm making this just for me or just for my friends, that's what makes you like take the pressure off, where you're like, oh, I need to make it like, it's got to sound like this. If you just know what you're like, what lane you're in, then it frees you up to make music that anyone can enjoy.
Yeah.
Ironically, I suppose. But
yeah.
What was I saying about that guy?
Which guy?
The bleeding drummer.
Oh well, I mean, aside from him being incredibly talented,
everyone's into blood,
and he does like.
I'm saying for real. If you see someone bleeding on stage, you're like,
you know, they've given.
You're like, dude, this is fucking sick.
On the face of blood.
You're like, holy shit! Like, can I like? Is it on my face? Like, cause that'd be really cool.
Yeah, get covered. What's your? Are you playing shows?
I'm doing Art Jam soon.
Art Jam.
I'm doing. I don't really know. I think they have just a bunch of like literal artists, like visual artists and like musicians playing, and I think me and Eurostar and DVD are providing some of the like musical like content. And then I was talking to Nick, and he wants to do a show too on May 2nd.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to contact Sanila. I think it's Sanila or Sanila to do that. She makes like the best like gothic dream pop. I played a show with her recently, and it was with her, and it was with
I wonder if I saw her.
Tinker Toy, and it was with DVD at the very least. Oh, and I don't know what the DJ name is, like Ali or Alos, something like that, at the Moth Access Center. So there was like a very pop centric show there, and
Yeah, that's where I saw the Shadow Puppets.
yeah, exactly.
Sick.
What am I saying about them? No, it was really fun. Oh yeah, Sunil is just like kind of like a figurehead of this, like kind of like the middle ground, the perfect middle ground actually between the pop and the gothic scene of like singing and songwriting and like electronic music in Montreal, which is really cool. So that's the show I'm like working on, because I was talking to Nick about it, and I was like, yeah, I'm gonna try and book Sanila, Princess Sanila on Instagram.
At the Moth?
I think this one's at Sala Rosa, and I think Margot's playing.
What's the basement of Sala Rosa called? That place is sick.
Satarenia.
Satarenia.
And I threw a speedrun release party there, which was super fun. That was like my dream show. I cried the whole show. And it's partly because my makeup got in my eyes, but also partly because it was very emotional.
If you can't bleed, cry, man.
If you can't cry, you bleed. You know what they say.
And if you can't cry, you bleed.
And if you can't bleed, you play the drums till you do.
And if you, those who don't teach and
learn how to fish.
two birds in one hand,
Two birds often come to blows.
and then it goes round and round.
Oh, Jesus, world we live in.
Cool. I love that room. That room's so great, and I think it's relatively cheap. It's easy to get. It's easy to rent.
Yeah, Margot is all about
Margot's the best.
just like booking people there. Margot's sick as fuck.
Yeah,
I want to
sick
make a
as
track with her, because like they're always like on the pop wave. I saw like segments of their like podcast here, and they were just saying things that I like fully agree with. I was like, well, what am I gonna say when I go there? Because they're like, she was like, I want to be part of like a global pop dialogue, and I was like, yeah, fucking big time.
It seems like next step shit. You know, like this is next. That's the way music is going.
Yeah,
Is gonna be so centered on collectives of people.
yeah,
On like
not collectives,
total,
but like like not quite like, because any collective is isolated in itself,
Right.
But the interweaving of collectives,
Yes.
like the lines between people, because people are already all about that, like the New York scene of like Absurdist and like Dorian Electra and Umru, and how that merges with like Sophie and
Yeah.
Charlie. That's lore. That's lore.
That's the lore of
That's what I'm
electronic
talking
music.
about. Pop lore.
Everything needs a story, though. People love stories, right?
Yeah.
So this kind of ties into what we were talking about before with genre, but like having like an origin story, or like something you can be like, this is gonna sound weird, but like
Go hard.
to be able to say this is not that. Like what I'm doing is not this.
Yeah.
Is you need things to negate. Right?
Yeah.
That's how you create new.
To say something,
things.
to say that you're like,
Because when
it's
you're
not
saying
quite
it's not,
this, is to like,
Yeah.
that's such a pointed reference.
Yeah.
Like you're obviously influenced.
You're
If you're
influenced
influenced
by
to not be something, then you're fully influenced by it.
if you can say it's not that thing, then you're connected to it. You're connected to that thing just by the negation of it.
What would you say you're not?
Oh, a flat earther.
Oh, are you sure? Are you sure about that? I talked about someone about this today. I feel like this is common fodder for podcasts right now.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like everyone's like, oh, just talk about flat earths at some point.
Okay, we'll cut right here.
Yeah,
we'll go into
yeah.
a 4-hour debate. You guys can find it online.
I just think if it was flat,
And we're back.
They'd be monetized. If it was flat, it'd be monetized.
What would be monetized?
Seeing the edge of the earth. There'd be hotels there. You'd be able to see it. It'd cost a lot of money.
Yeah. You'd think we would have gotten over that by now.
We'd be like, it'd be monetized. We're not going to keep any secrets here. Let's make some money off the edge of the world.
It's a big wall. It's not an edge. It's a wall.
That's what they say.
That's what they say.
My friend called me drunk as fuck from Greece today, and he was like, dude, you can't disprove them. He didn't believe in it. He was just like, it's so funny because you can't disprove them because it's like an ice wall, and there's an ice wall in Antarctica. And I was like, I don't know. I don't know. I just think they'd monetize it.
I think there's a lot of things. Most things you can't prove.
There's no issue for me. If
Scientists are only working on the things that they know they can prove or disprove. But
I've been wanting to fall into a black hole for like a long time.
see that picture?
If I if I had to choose a death sentence, that
super
sweet
LV
sultry picture. If I just choose a death sentence, and it's basically anything I want, then I want to fall into a black hole.
You want to go to that? You want to RSVP for that event Horizon?
Send me
you know
in.
What I'm saying?
Send me the fuck in. I want to know. I don't want to know, actually. I just think it'd be like scarier than you can comprehend. It'd be like just way too crazy.
I don't know. That's old news, man. It's probably just be a bunch of bookcases and fucking ticking watches and
Matthew McConaughey's still
Matthew
there.
McConaughey.
So funny.
Just like a flat circle.
Listen to my Murph.
People are
Time's a flat circle, man. He plays one character, someone in an existential crisis.
people are fired up about Matthew McConaughey the same way they were about oh god damn, what's his name? He plays Leonardo DiCaprio's dad in
Wolf of Wall Street.
No, in Catch Me If You Can. Everyone knows him. Everyone knows him.
I forget. Tom Hanks. Tom Hanks.
He's in well, who fucking cares? Whatever.
Fuck, I don't know.
It's just an actor to impersonate. Everyone's fired up about it. I think it's important.
He's like coming up now. I just saw.
No. He's old school. He's old school. He's
But
like,
he's more relevant. Now.
he's in Greece. He's the
John Travolta.
No, quite.
He wasn't
no,
Leo's
not
dad.
quite. Oh no, you're right. That's Greece. I'm thinking about Hairspray. Christopher Walken.
Christopher Walken.
Matthew McConaughey is just entering the same halls as Christopher Walken. Everyone's like, I couldn't impersonate this. And there's like a bunch of iconic roles, but everyone's just kind of like
all right.
trying to do the voice. Yeah, exactly.
I think that'd be a good time to take my shirt off.
Take it off. Take it off. I want to hear the microphone pick it up. Do it. Do it.
No, I can't expose myself
Oh, you're
to my
right.
fans. I have to keep the mystique until at least episode 90.
Dude, get the mistake. You know what I'm saying?
Mistake. Yeah, what's up? We just watched that. We went and saw that new Harmony Korine movie.
Is that out?
Yeah.
Is it?
You see Beach Bum.
Is it set in the Spring Breakers cinematic universe?
I didn't see Spring Breakers, but yes, Nick.
It actually
Yeah.
is set in the same universe?
No, but
The same.
It's kind of the same idea.
Same style.
It's
Nick.
come here.
So
Come
Get this
on.
guy a microphone already.
Break the seal.
It looks like you're gonna look.
Talk loudly.
Yeah. So what I think he's doing.
When Nick's talking, it's a flashback scene.
Yeah.
This is when we put all the
It's
video
all,
in.
so when you see it, like imagine like it basically what it was. It's like
Say it.
Adam Sandler feel good comedy, right?
But with like art house ambition.
No. Okay.
Art house
There is-
expectations.
There's none of that. It's like if you
Good.
just watch it. It's not even Spring Breakers. It's like even a level above Spring Breakers where it's like
It's more approachable.
yeah,
the
it's
whole
like
thing.
It's a feel good guy.
Feel
like
good
this,
the whole
this-
time.
It's like this Raoul Duke.
I wanna feel good the whole time.
Guy going through life being like, you know what, man, I just want to have fun. But the thing is, usually in all these like Adam Sandler, Happy Madison,
There's like a sad part, and he just doesn't get sad.
there's no
Never.
sad part. He never learns.
The whole movie is.
He never learns.
It's a bunch of
It's like Charlie Brown.
The
He
whole
never
movie is a
learns.
bunch of like drops. Like there's about to be a drop.
Yes.
Where you think he's like, oh,
And you're like, oh, someone
this is
died.
where he's
This
gonna
is-
learn. No
And then he's just like, I can't call it.
yeah.
You know?
That's the
Then-
most exciting thing.
It's
Okay,
really
first of all, saying it's
interesting.
just a bunch of drops is crazy. Because remember when EDM first came out, everyone was like, "Dude, a drop."
drop,
Imagine,
what is that?
imagine they just build up, and then the sickest part of the song comes, and you know it's coming. You fucking know it's coming.
But see, okay, but with this, but with Beach Bum, like I feel like he's so Harmony Korine that like I feel like he's playing a trick on you because the average moviegoer, if you don't know Harmony Korine,
Definitely playing
he
a
would
trick
go,
on you.
and you're like. Oh wow! I just watched like an over exuberant Adam Sandler movie.
So he was able to
That's what
make
it feels like.
to make a comment on film without like showing any of his like
Yeah,
satirical
disgusting,
he was just
yeah.
like no, I'm actually doing it this time.
Yeah,
like
and what I think he would like he's fooling you the whole time.
He hacked the genre, man.
Yeah, really, because when I was watching it, I felt like I'm supposed to. It's depressing. It's a very underneath.
Spring Breakers made me really anxious, so I
Yeah,
understand.
like on
Yeah.
the surface, Beach Bum is a very like happy, funny, Raoul Hunter S. Thompson movie, but with no lessons. So because there's no lessons to be learned, there's no character growth.
You feel a little
There's no
empty.
character growth.
I
You feel
love
a little
that.
empty throughout the whole movie.
so
That's like
because-
reading a book where there's just like a bunch of shit happens. You're like,
nothing
fuck.
happens.
Afterwards, you're just like,
it's depressing.
okay.
It's a sad movie.
It's a very sad
Because
movie.
He doesn't learn anything, and at the end, he's like laughing with a bunch of burning money around him. But because he didn't learn
Spoiler
anything,
alert.
it's sad, and because of that, it's so fucking Harmony Korine. It's
Yeah.
so
Damn, that came full circle very effectively.
Yeah, Harmony Korine going through
And
Meryl
so
Streep's
it's on the
purse.
surface, like you have to, as soon as you lift the sheet a little bit on the movie, you see how deep the whole.
That comes
If you
back-
read this movie, if you read the book of this movie,
There's a book?
no, if there were a
I'll make
book
the novelization
and you read
and I'll
it,
make it an EP.
that's it, man. You go to sleep for a month, man.
That's
you don't
what
get out of
the,
bed. It's depressing as fuck.
That's like the exact state of like when somebody comes in their career to a point where they make like a pop song and it's sort of like self-aware, but the pop song blows the fuck up. That's the exact point it is. That's the exact like, yeah, we got there and we spoke completely in that language and it was like totally self-aware and like we totally did it. And then it's like the lines just completely blurred. You're like, yeah, but now it's a pop like hit.
yeah.
Like, I don't know.
Well, that's not yours anymore once you do that.
Yeah.
Like it's not. You've added to the canon. You've added the conversation.
Yes, I love your usage of the word canon. It makes me so fucking
like
fired
that
up.
word, man.
'Cause you know I'm the lore king. You know.
I know the lore. I know how lore works. In the lexicon, the lexiconon. But once you do something like pop, I think Kanon said this. I'll reference the old and wise Kanon, or he doesn't like he.
Don't cite the old magic. I was there when it was written.
He doesn't. He's like that wave and flag song. Remember that huge banger World Cup soccer tune?
He got fucked up by that song. There's too many remixes of it.
Yeah.
It ended his career.
Yeah, Coca-Cola owns that song. Well, that's what he said. He's like, I mean, maybe it's a bit of him making peace with the fact that that song is totally out of his control.
Yeah.
But his approach to it, at least publicized, was like, that's not my song anymore.
Somebody recently was like, "Where's Kanon?" And I was like,
It's in Michigan somewhere.
"The world fucked up his like. The world just took Wave and Flag and beat his career into the ground. I mean, he didn't have to go away, but he
Well,
did.
what's a career, man? He doesn't need a career
He
anymore.
doesn't
That
need
guy's
one,
got
but he could have
bags,
one
dude.
because he was all about it.
He's a great
When
rapper.
he was first coming out, when he first had like Bang Bang and like ABC and stuff, everyone was like fully all about it.
Yeah.
And
Struggling? I remember that.
I mean, Fetty Wap disappeared too.
Yeah.
And they're not like kidnapped; they're just gone. I mean, I do want to find Fetty Wap. I want to send a campaign out. I want to see how he is. I want to know how he's doing.
Start a Go Kick Me, man.
Go kick me. Go
Kickstart.
Go get me into shape. Go get me fucked, and I'm gonna find Fetty. I swear.
Fetty Wap. What did Fetty Wap do? I don't know Fetty Wap.
He started with Trap Queen was his like first hit.
Yeah.
And I get high with my wait. What?
Yeah, the good time.
No, that's Young Thug.
Fucking dumb.
Good Times with Young Thug.
That's the extent.
Good Times with Young Thug changed my life.
Yeah, it did. Yeah.
Like forever. That song, I still listen to it almost every day, and I listened to it every day when I was going through some shit in a good way. I was going through my like 19-year-old like ready to party until I die shit.
Hooked on a song.
Yeah, hooked on a feeling.
Hooked on a hook.
And I'm still yes. Hooks are just materializations of like your most crystallized feeling. You're just like
Becomes obvious.
you're like, this is my like nostalgia for the future, party, happiness, I'm in love song. And that's what you hear a hook.
Nostalgia for the future.
Yeah, and you hear a hook and you're like, this is it. My life is different now.
Oh man, I miss the future, dude.
I miss the future just from hearing
so
this
bad,
hook. It's true. Dude, I want to be there again, but unfortunately I've never been. But it's coming, but I'll be sad by
feels
then.
like it, but
I'll be
now-
sad by then.
I mean, it feels like I've never even been to the
But
future.
suddenly once I hear this song, it reminds me that I have. But everyone's making fun of me in the future. Everyone's super mean to me in the future.
I'm gonna piss. I have to piss. I think it's kind of fucked up that for Lion King. I think it's kind of fucked up that you're allowed to just make a movie again.
They're just doing it to extend copyrights.
Like they can't call it live action because it's obviously it's animated the same way the original Lion King was animated.
Does it matter what it's called? Like, does it matter if it's live action?
But it's fucking weird because the original Lion King,
The OG.
my Lion King, was
everyone's.
was animated.
Yeah.
And this one's animated, and it's the same story with all of the same rising action.
I've heard they're trying to correct
crisis.
the story beats. Like, for example,
change.
this clickbait website. No, not really. This clickbait website I read, because everyone's got one, was like, yeah, they're making Scar like the same fur tone as his brother, because they want it to be like a correction of the previous mistakes.
Oh, okay. Well, then way better. Then
It sounds like this movie's gonna be way better
It's
then.
far better. I think
Yeah, I couldn't get over that in the first
no
one.
one
when I was
wanted
6.
Dumbo to get remade.
No one wanted what to get remade?
No one fucking wanted Dumbo to get remade.
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah, they made Dumbo.
But we don't need to be weird about it. We don't need to be like,
I don't think
dude,
so.
fuck that remake. Like, I don't want to like waste
Fuck
energy
Dumbo,
about it.
dude.
Yeah.
I mean, everything. We're gonna remake everything eventually. Everything. Just 20 years. Every 20 years.
I'm really stoked because
same
Daniel
thing over
Radcliffe like knew, he was like, oh yeah, within our lifetimes, like within the next like 50 years, Harry Potter will be remade.
Yeah.
And I've been thinking that for like so long. I'd be like, yeah, like not even like, oh yeah, that's the kind of society we live in. Just like, yeah, they're gonna make it again. It's fine.
Yeah, recycling our stories.
Make Harry Potter again.
like what? Fucking like you got William Blake, Shakespeare, the Bible, and
It's called
Muhammad
the
Ali,
Bibli.
and that's it.
You've got Naruto.
He wrote a lot of books.
You've got Naruto, Bleach, Full Metal Alchemist, and the first 3 arcs of One Piece, and you've got the Bible, and you've got Shakespeare.
Yeah, you got Led Zeppelin. You got Pink Floyd.
You got James Joyce.
You got the Who, and you got
Dude, the Who
Jefferson
suck.
Airplane.
Dude, recently I was like, dude, the Who don't fit in the canon there. They don't belong with like, okay,
It's true. The Who
Baba
are very
O'Reilly,
singular.
I'll bite. Baba O'Reilly, I'll bite.
Okay.
But I think it's also like
Just
I'll
the
just
anthem.
bite because I'm like a fucking idiot, and I'll bite with the same one that's also Baba O'Reilly, the one that's like don't get fooled again,
it's the
won't
same
get fooled
song.
again.
Same song.
And dude, Pinball Wizard's the worst song ever. Why did we let who's letting these fucking idiots? I mean, I think I'm just like kind of denouncing myself because I've spent the whole time being like, dude, I love anime, like I like singing about being cool. But who are letting these fucking nerds in the like 60s and 70s just be writing rock operas? Don't write a fucking rock opera.
Do you think it's been done?
No, I mean like I think these guys were just like, yeah, we've got a concept album, and it was just like bullshit. They were like, singing about dumb shit.
Yeah.
Pinball Wizard's the dumbest song ever.
What is it about?
We were like
a
the Who or
blind guy?
rock.
Blind dude,
It's a
yeah.
blind dude that plays mean pinball.
Me.
He sure plays a
It's
mean
a
pinball.
He sure does. They're just like
Wow, cool.
This guy's got he's got a lot going on.
I'm gonna write a song called.
They're like, dude, imagine this guy.
Fortnite Wizard.
Basically,
fuck's sakes.
Dad, go hard.
Yeah.
Go hard because like we're in like meme culture now.
Yeah.
Go hard for a few months, then everyone would fucking hate you.
But I don't play with a screen. I just read code.
No, yeah. Oh,
Play Fortnite code.
I just play Fortnite. I just play the code.
Yeah, talk about Fortnite. What about Fortnite?
I think it's really cool that
Action.
the word Fortnite is that present in pop culture right now. Every 2 weeks, if you're a medieval knight, and now kids are
Seems
reading.
like every 2 weeks you're hearing about Fortnite.
Kids in there. Yeah, if you're that that disconnected, kids in their readings in school are being like, Fortnite. That's fucking hilarious.
I never played it. You ever played Fortnite?
I played a few times
Yeah.
on a Nintendo Switch. I sucked at it. When I was a kid, I thought I was good at video games, and it turns out
Everybody does.
you're just really like, I was good at games like at that age, but like I thought I was that's what it was. I thought I was good at technology, but I was just good at video games, and now I've narrowed it down. I was just good at Smash Bros. And I wave dash. I play Smash Bros. Melee. I'm a Falco main. I wave dash. I play Smash 5, Smash Ultimate, and
GameCube?
oh no, Melee on GameCube. Yeah, I was a GameCube. I got into like the Melee pro scene in like first year university, and I'd be like, yeah, Mango's one of my main music influencers, because I was like that, like, oh, it's about believing in yourself.
It is.
It is. It truly is.
It's all about that.
If you're in the like state of mind to be like that, like pure about it, because sometimes you're just sad and you're like, it's not just about that. I hate my life.
Yeah, you gotta have those moments, take a knee. Just take a quick
Take a knee. Well said.
Everybody needs to take a knee once
Pause.
in a while.
Yo, just bench yourself for a bit.
Yeah.
It's hard to bench yourself though, because when you could be benching yourself, you're there and you're like, why aren't I working on music that's changing the world?
I think what fucks up a lot of musicians is the fact that it's not a job. It's not a real job. It's not something like most people, like before they even decide to become a musician, experience like 16 years of adulting in like real jobs, doing something that they suffer
Like
for,
while they're waiting to
sacrifice
grow up to
for.
be 16.
Like when as like say a generation of musicians is growing up, they see, because it's very rare for people to make a living off of
Yeah.
music. right? But let's say all these kids come from like middle class families, or you know, their parents are white collar, blue collar, doesn't matter.
They got collars.
They got their collar.
At the end of the day, they're collars.
And they see, which is a good analogy actually, but they see the way the humans work, the way humans interact with the world, and you know, they have.
Oh, and then that makes you upset because you're like, wait, I'm not doing all the things that I should be doing.
Exactly, like it should feel like a 9 to 5. You know, it should feel like I punch in, I punch out. I'm working every day,
which in a way is true, because if you don't get your work in, you're like,
well, those are the hyper successful musicians.
About my like shit.
But music,
but that's the image you give yourself. You're like, wait, do I have to work that hard if I want to be hyper successful? Because sort of.
But that's the thing. Like, you can work a 9 to 5 job with the goal of being hyper successful.
Yeah.
I don't know if you can be fulfilled as a musician with the goal of being successful.
If you're working 9 to 5 on music.
Well, I mean, a lot of successful musicians work, you know, 9 to 9 on music. You know, 9 to like all day, every day. That's all they do, and then. Because it doesn't feel like work, and then those days where they don't have the same decisiveness or the same like,
don't hit the table. Don't do that again.
Sorry, table.
Stop that.
But they don't have that spark anymore, and they get, you know, they're not inspired, they're not right. Then they feel they're not showing up for work.
I think that narrative about the spark is what like got me down. I was down for a while this winter, and I was like, oh, I'm just not like as driven as I was. Like, I'm doing this, and that's why I feel like this. And it's just like, you can't always be on the fucking ball.
It's impossible.
You can't. I mean, you can, but you can't.
I mean, very rare.
You can be always on the ball if you don't have to work like a day job too.
But if you're recycling your emotional state constantly into art, it takes a toll.
Yeah.
And not on everyone, and sometimes it elevates you, it lifts you up.
I think it does both. I mean, you go through phases with that, because like if you're always like running all the emotion into that, there's times where you're like, I've been so immersed in this, I've been so engaged in it that like I'm just at like a singularity right now. I'm like making like, I'm being like me, I'm like taking all my influences most efficiently, and there's times where you're like, I've got nothing. I'm like putting all my love into this, and I don't like, I've got nothing. And to just like accept that for what it is, instead of being like, I should stop.
Right.
I think it gets harder as you get older.
Yeah.
At my ripe old age of 23, I've got a lot of insight.
Oh, you're finished. You're over the hill already. I mean,
everyone hates me right now because I'm so old.
Yeah, never trust anyone over 22. I think that's what they say these days.
Yeah, that's what they've been telling me.
How did you get your start in Montreal? Was there a conduit, like
playing shows,
or just like into the scene here? Because do you collaborate with a lot of people in Montreal? I'm sure you do.
I think I was more collaborative. I was working on a thing called Rose Gold a few years ago, and I was more collaborative then because I thought I was just gonna be a producer and sing sometimes. And so I had a song with LA Cost. I had a song with Magi Merlin, who's got a EP coming out this summer. Magi Merlin is like a genius.
Mm-hmm. He's on that one, the first track on your
She is.
Excuse me.
And this guy in Tinker Toy I played with recently was like, yeah, I'm leaving the band just to make beats for her. Like, they're not like, he's not like her exclusive producer, but he was like, yeah, like, I'm getting behind this cause. And I was like, that's fucking sick. So I was like in a scene where I was in a phase rather, where I was just like producing for other people. And I was really collaborative then. I still am. I think that with finding like the right like visual artists to collaborate with, and the right people to play shows that are concise and like bring in like a different crowd, but all to like a similar like umbrella of music. Mm-hmm. Like when I did the speedrun release party, I had Magi Merlin, me and Eurostar, who are the dream team, baby. Shirini, aka I think she's in Toronto now. Shirini did like, she's running a whole like Pop Montreal like interview session, and she's like a really good rapper. And then who else was there? DVD, Eurostar and Fireball Kid, Shirini, Magi Merlin. That would have been it. But
that's a lineup.
It's a big fucking lineup, and that in itself is a collaborative thing. Like picking like the people you're gonna like align with, and then picking the people that you want to do like art with. Because right now we've got a single coming out called Real Crush, and Aya Avalon's doing the art, and they're like premier like visuals right now in Montreal. Like they're not getting paid like big bucks, but everyone respects them. They're doing shows with everyone, and they have the best visuals. I asked them to do show visuals for like a show we did a few months ago. It was at La Soteria. It was like one of the first like fucking freezing shows of the winter, and we didn't promote it super well, so it was a low turnout. But they showed up. They did their 5 hours. They crushed it the whole time, and they sent me this message before. They were like, "Hey, like visual artists don't get paid that well, despite like putting in so much work." And I was like, "Oh my god, that's so true." I'm so like grateful for that like perspective, and I like paid them the best I could, because like we're all like musicians. We're all like, dude, like gotta pay musicians, right? Like music is like my life. But I was like, hey, I just want some like twinkly, like believe in yourself, like visuals. And they showed up, and they had like, in my head, I was like, Digimon season 1. I didn't say that out loud. I didn't say it out loud. Digimon season 1 though, I thought it. And they showed up, and they had Anjouamon in like a like golden outline, like rotating in the visual. And I was like, how did you know? I said that to them. I was like, how the fuck did you know? And they were like, you just gave me the words. And I was like, yeah. To save the digital world.
Did you ever watch that shit?
Fuck yeah.
Oh, man. The weird thing about Digimon, I mean, not to, we'll get back to that, but let me just sidetrack and say,
no,
the weird
this
thing
is
about
not a sidetrack.
Digimon
This is where we're going.
is that Pokemon evolved on a logical...
No pun intended.
Logical
motherfucker.
phenotype. You know? You
No, I
knew
think
exactly.
Digimon evolved more
Charmander,
logically.
Charmeleon, Charizard, they all kind of look like the same thing just growing up.
Yeah.
Digimon was like some little monster rodent thing, turns into a guy.
Dude, Digimon was like...
evolved into a dude,
Digimon
like a man.
was like how you feel when you're like coming of age, though. Because you do feel like a little thing. And then you're like a man.
But
Or a woman or a person. And you're like...
they called it digivolving?
yeah.
They should have called it digitizing.
Yo, but think about it, because in Pokemon, people are always like, actually, to be accurate, it's actually metamorphosis. And then in Digimon, they were just like, it's a whole new fucking person. And guess what? It's digivolving.
It's digivolving.
Yeah, guess what, motherfuckers? They just digivolved.
This is the remix.
Okay, do you guys remember? I remember there was one episode of Pokemon where they were like chilling and they were at someone's house. Literally, there was a dog.
Oh yeah, I do remember that.
There was a dog.
The implications.
The implications are profound.
A dog.
That's why Pokemon... Okay, that's
what?
why...
Is that the only dog in the world?
That's why Pokemon's wasted potential, though, because Pokemon as a concept for a TV series, I don't care if you animate it, you have to though to make it like fit what the potential is, because the budget's easier. Pokemon as a TV series with kids going on adventures and capturing monsters to train and fight each other is so versatile. And like they did a good job making the first show a hit, but if they took it seriously and made it like, instead of like 6 and up, if they made it like 13 and up, they could go so hard with that like set of rules and lore. And that's why Digimon like went well, because it was like a similar like concept, but they were willing to do some like dark shit with it. If Pokemon took that idea and ran with it, it would be like some of the best selling like storytelling in the world.
It'll come around. No
It will.
question. There's gonna be.
They've done Pokemon Origins, a 4-part series, and it went really well.
Well, that's, I think they probably were. I imagine like maybe the few pilots of Pokemon probably were a little dark, because not a lot of people know.
Wasn't Ryan Reynolds Pikachu?
Yes.
Yeah,
Okay.
He is now.
Yeah, that was a side step into the fucking.
It's happening right
multiverse.
now.
Dead end dendrite
But not
of
a lot of people know
the
that.
AI internet.
Like Yu-Gi-Oh suffered like that. Yu-Gi-Oh it was pretty dark, but it could have been way more heavy. And there was this thing.
But Yu-Gi-Oh followed the manga though.
Not really.
Really?
Yeah, yes and no. But before season 1, like the Duelist Kingdom ship, there was something called Yu-Gi-Oh Season 0 that was never translated to America.
Really?
Yeah, dude.
This guy could do a whole podcast on Yu-Gi-Oh, bro.
And it was before like Duel Monsters.
Was it like the
Yu-Gi-Oh cards.
was it like, did they use the same characters but the story was made up differently?
It was way darker. It was the same like pharaoh thing inhabiting this little boy.
But it was his demo run of the original
But
story.
it was this it was
Dude, why the fuck doesn't he have a microphone?
I know.
Yeah, we just don't have enough, and there's not enough room. But the guy who was like the pharaoh who was fucking possessed in this kid was like actually evil.
He was a pervert.
No, he was actually evil, and they played games. But this is where like the king of games thing comes from. Izuki, like he would play games against like evil villains. I
wish I knew what they were talking about.
And like mind games and magic tricks, and he would like kill them. He would like have a gun.
The Shadow Realm, but except they're actually dead.
Or like they would lose.
Yo, what,
and they're, like,
murdering
their
people?
Eyes would burn.
in
It was
cartoons?
super dark. Like one time there was a gun, and like he shot it.
One time there was a gun and he
There was
shot
a
it.
gun. Yeah, it was way darker. So I think, and then after that, like Yu-Gi-Oh became Kazuki Takashi was like, no, the show's about friendship and friends.
It is about friendship and friends.
Yeah, right.
I often wonder what made that such a unifying. Like, why did everyone decide to be like, yeah, the theme's actually friendship and friends.
Well,
You can sell that,
You know
it's
why?
easy.
Because what sells most? Toys. Who buys toys? 4-year-olds to 14-year-olds.
To do
Yeah, but-
what?
Oh,
Play with their friends.
But being 4 and 14, like I remember watching Yu-Gi-Oh! Like I remember watching any like animated story as a kid, and I would get like embarrassed and uncomfortable about the monologues about friendship. And now I'm like a dumbass, like semi grown up, and I'm like, yeah, this is fucking sick.
Well, you know, actually
For friendship! Yeah, now I'm all about it.
A lot of the cards and a lot of the animation heavily censored in America. Like whenever like something bites something in Yu-Gi-Oh or something, they censor like.
It's censored
blood.
there though too. That's why
It's
the
crazy.
Attack on Titan anime is like there's like less gore than there is in the manga.
Yeah, well, but the anime's still fucked. I don't think the thing I find in Attack on Titan isn't the gore; it's the expressions on people's faces.
Yeah.
like when their friend just dies.
That's what. Did you watch The Promised Neverland recently?
No.
That shit.
I highly recommend it. Yeah, dude. It's the eyes and the wrinkles around the eyes that appear that you're like,
It's like because they're like mom or best friend. Like,
Yeah, that's what gets you going.
They've been building up this character. It's kind of like Game of Thronesy. They've been building up this character.
It is.
For so long,
I've always compared
and then they
those
just fucking
franchises.
axe the character, and then the characters are just like what.
Right, they didn't see it coming.
and I wonder when the next like development of like how do we creatively build and kill characters will come, because like Game of Thrones did it really effectively. They were like, this is how you like. They killed Ned Stark. That was a shift in culture.
Is that blonde kid? Who I've never seen Game of Thrones.
Ned Stark's just this fucking
That's
beauty.
Sean Bean.
Sean Bean.
That's the only. That's so funny. The only episode of Game of Thrones I saw
Was with him.
Was the one where Sean Bean gets murdered.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, again, like really,
Dude, for them to do that
Everything?
though, for them to show you that first season, and you're just like, you're seeing these dudes with flow, these hockey bros with flow, with swords, being like, dude, I fucking love you, bro. Like, you're fucking sick. And then the first episode,
You
they're
go hard
like,
in the paint,
in
bro.
the first episode, they're like, all we wanted to do was crack skulls and fuck girls. And you're like, holy shit, you guys are just beauty gun, like, you guys are just
Tits and blood,
bros.
man.
You guys are just going, like, you guys are disrespectful. I think you guys should learn a bit, but I like appreciate that you're warriors. And then they killed him in the first season, and that was like a point of turning in storytelling. And Attack on Titan's done similar things with just like killing everyone. So I wonder when the next turning point like that will come.
Well, I'm damn sure that the entire anime universe is going to be artificial intelligence sized one day, and we're just going to go into the VR AI world.
If we get sent into the VR
Right?
AI world, then I'll be like, I'll still be
Which village? Leaf Village, or
I'll still be cute.
Are you going to be you already are.
Do you think
anime
I'll be cute in there?
Yeah, that's the challenge, right?
Isn't
Isn't everyone
I sort of
cute
showed
when
up
you're
here
in
looking
anime?
like a pervert. Like, I sort of came into this situation, this podcast, looking like a pervert. I had my hair parted, but not in like, typically it'll curl out and form like a heart shape. Today I'm just like,
I think it was more mysterious than pervy.
thank you.
It was like that guy could be a pervert, or he could, he
It
could
could be
write.
about any number of things.
Maybe he has volumes of poetry at home. Who
Yeah,
knows?
what's the difference? I don't think there's any
Judging by the way he parts his
separation
hair.
there. If we're going back to the Leonard Cohen effect here, there's no difference there.
the Leonard
Same
Cohen
thing.
effect.
Leonard Cohen's the original F boy.
Yeah,
By that, I
man.
mean fuck boy.
Exactly.
Trading D for rent, just writing poetry and shit.
Writing poetry about hotties. And he was like,
Babes.
he's like, hey, I wrote this poem about
Do
you.
you guys think there could be another Leonard Cohen who, like,
Modern day, like who's already around, or
Justin
she's
Bieber.
already around.
Justin Bieber is Leonard Cohen right now. Diplo is Leonard Cohen.
Well, fucking no. Who's laying the most pipe in the fucking music game right now? Because that was Leonard Cohen. Leonard Cohen essentially became like, his manager was like, everybody, like, you're a poet
Everybody
that
thinks you're beautiful.
just gets women. Like, that's what his whole shtick was.
I think that in the
shouldn't say
modern
that.
in
I
the
mean, I
modern
love
day we
Leonard,
should be
but-
speaking about like who is just the most genuine like general sex symbol across like all like genders and
Ed
like
Sheeran?
Yeah, dude. What?
you're not really far off.
No.
If
way,
Ed
really?
Sheeran- if Ed
Ed
Sheeran-
Sheeran's a sex symbol,
Bro,
Ed Sheeran is the
Ed
sex
Sheeran
symbol.
sells out
Dude, that guy
Wembley
looks like a-
Stadium 4 nights in a row.
I know, man. I've heard those stories. But a sex symbol,
And it's
though.
only him. It's only him.
But don't you think most of the girls listening to it,
Like,
his
do we get
music
to
are
decide who a
imagining
sex
some other
symbol
dude?
is? No. I think that like sex symbol goes everywhere. Sex symbol is like every single person like has sex appeal, right? I don't think that like there's any like no one's like, oh, Ed Sheeran's not a sex symbol. He's too like nice and fun. Like if you're into Ed Sheeran, like that's it. He's a fucking sex symbol off the charts.
Right. I see what you mean. Right. It's the more of the quality of what he does. It's the content of his.
As soon as he gets the context of his career, you're like,
career, yeah.
the fan fiction begins.
Well, because are there any more like... Are there any more like One Directions? No, who's...
It's the day of the boy band.
What about 1975?
Past?
What about 1975?
They're not sex symbols, are they?
Well, the guy is.
I don't know any of their names or faces. I think they should be sex symbols.
Yeah.
We're
I think
talking male sex symbols
The
here, right?
1975
Yeah,
like
just yeah.
beat me to what
Adam
I like
Levine?
am like all about. I was just like, wait, like this is what I'm all
They're
about.
fuck boys though.
They're like
They're hard fuck
they're
boys.
dope fuck boys. Like
Yeah.
Well,
they're
the Joe
making,
Bros just made a comeback, right?
Yeah, but see, that's not similar because that's nostalgia based.
But they don't have they don't have
It's
their
not
purity
that-
rings on them.
the nostalgia's
anymore.
not that far away.
They don't have their
It
purity.
wasn't that
rings
far
on them.
like long ago. Like everyone's DTF, the Jonas Brothers.
Well, I would, but Jonah, that's nostalgia though.
But
That's
but
Disney
you
Channel.
would. You're down.
Yo, that's like
Yeah.
That's like
No,
5 years.
it's like
They took
it's
a
like
5-year break.
It's
and just-
distorted
That's what it
nostalgia.
needs now, though.
When
That's
something
the amount of gap we need.
no, but it's the gap that turns the nostalgia into like before it was like I would fuck them, and now it's like I would fuck
I
them.
need to
Like
fuck
I
them.
need like I want them to like
Deep throat.
put me like in a chamber where like just parts of me are sticking out and other parts are restrained, and I want each of them to take one part. Like that's where they are now. Like,
Well,
that's what the 5-year break serves to do.
I think it went 5 years ago. It went from most people wanted the Jonas Brothers to fuck them, and now a select number of people really want to fuck the Jonas Brothers.
No, I think the opposite.
Oh, you think it the other way
Oh
around?
yeah. Oh yeah. I
You
think
think they
before
wanna get
it was
fucked
like,
by the
oh
Jonas
cool, the
Brothers.
Jonas Brothers fan base, and now everyone's like, yeah, I'd fuck the Jonas Brothers. Like everyone's like, obviously, I want the Jonas Brothers to tie
Well,
me
maybe
up.
because now they have license to. Because when I mean, like,
I think it's because the fan base is aged.
All the fan base is like of age now, so they can be like, yeah, fill me
That
up.
sounds so weird.
The
to
Jonas
say.
Brothers fan base went through the touch my button, buy me
You know
pizza
that's written
phase
on
on
a contract
Tumblr,
somewhere.
and now that touch my button, buy me pizza phase has turned into like tie me up and like spank me and like let's fuck phase.
shaded.
I wonder, where do you probably don't know her that well, but Billie Eilish, where do you think Billie Eilish fits in this?
Oh,
into
the
like sexual attraction to celebrities like canon.
Well, or like,
well, because Billie Eilish is what,
say-
17 years old,
What?
19
yeah,
years
she's
old.
young. Yeah, she's
I don't know anything about Billie Eilish, honestly.
Big, pop-
of
big pop-
like,
I know she's
star.
like big like pop shit, but I don't know like.
yeah, but
But
like,
it's-
pop music that is like,
Should I know?
you know, like idolized at like for what she looks like.
And it's very, it's like.
But doesn't she have
hyper-repressed,
slaps? Doesn't she have
sexualized-
hitters?
You know, big time hitters. Yeah, I'd say I listened to both her albums the other day.
You're all about it.
Just to check out,
You're
see
a
what
fucking pervert.
see what the hype's about. I shut all my blinds. I locked all the doors.
No,
and I put on
stop.
some Billie Eilish.
Oh, you got sad. I get it.
But it is very like it's hyper sexualized, like teen,
smells.
emotional electronic music. You know, it's all very whisper. Mic stuff.
that's a very much like that's
Close
like
to the
a
mic.
that's like a crystallization of like everything we've been talking about. That's like we're talking about the James Blake, like the dubstep
Yeah.
crystallized into like the teen like Tumblr like obsession aesthetic. I just think that's really cool. I think it's really interesting. I don't know much about Billie Eilish, but like I think that's where like people should be looking to see like what is going to be very important or what is very important right now. I don't know if it's a reflection of what's coming or if it's just like an encapsulation of everything that's important recently. Like if it's like Charlie and Frank and like every like sad like James Blake and like everything that's like sad but like with good production. I don't know that much about Billie Eilish, but it seems like a very important moment right now.
It does, yeah. It seems like it's very important.
I feel like
But
we're,
everybody
I feel like
kinda
we're, I
feels
feel
like
like we're like classic rock guys being like, I don't know what that's all about, but it seems really cool.
Doesn't sound like Motley Crue
I
to
feel
me.
Like, I feel like we need to like do some research before we like continue.
That's right. I gotta get a little.
Let's go to
Well, what's the future of music? Okay, here, the first question. The first question
Oh, so let's start the podcast, actually.
What's the future of music?
Okay, it's going to be the renaissance of like the best recorded acoustic instruments. Everyone's obsessed with Fleetwood Mac right now. It's going to be the renaissance of like a classical guitar recorded extremely well. It's already happened with Frank Ocean's last 2 albums. It's that with like very clearly machine drums, like not machine drums disguised as real drums, but machine like programmed drums
themselves as machine drums.
Yeah, with very like organic programming though, with like programming that's very like touch by touch with each part, like each MIDI note is recorded by hand.
Yeah.
It's that with nice guitars, with bass tones that are like, it's sub bass and it's like hip hop sub bass, but with texture on the like on the mids, like with like texture that like kind of reaches through everything and like encapsulates it and like pulls it all together. This is just my like personal vision. It's just the music I'm going to be making. So.
What is okay? Yeah,
it's just all that.
So that's the music you want. You are. You think that's what's pulling you right now.
That's what's pulling me right now. I think that's what's.
Who do you think's the best example of that right now?
Ooh, Young Father. But that's hard because the music right now is very much in a. Like
These are the shittiest questions.
The pop music I've been listening to is very much in like a. Like 80s Renaissance / PC music phase. Like everyone's kind of like about both those things right now.
80s Renaissance and like electronic music?
Like 80s Renaissance insofar as much as like the like ballady synths.
Yeah.
It's like
But but with the PC, like the Knox are crushing it right now. The Knox put out this album this year, or like last year, I don't give a fuck. New York Narcotics, and that was like very much like they had all the like correct beats, all the correct like tones and guitars and stuff, and that was very much where like pop music was like then and like is ish right now, but it's heading like more PC, more emotional, more like earthy and organic,
Authentic.
Yeah,
More human. You mentioned this at the beginning. Like there's to be able to find a humanity in the music, I think is very important. And
that's tied in with like the tones and like the methods in which you hear like the depth of the recording. You're just like, I hear like the room, and it's not just about hearing the room it was recorded in, but it's like hearing this room that like just exists within your head, within like the space of the music's recorded. You're like, there's this room they're recording in and they're feeling all this emotion and I'm part of it too.
Yeah.
And like realistically that room just existed. Like they weren't recording in that room. They like, but like you hear it and you're like, damn, like this is like, there's this like chamber that they're in, this chamber of emotion, and that's where like
it feels so real.
That's where it is. That's where like that's what gets you so excited about music. Mm-hmm. That's when like no matter what age you are, when you like you're getting to like different stages of being really into music, you're just like, wait, like I feel this other place, and that's what it is. And it's just like any progression of music is just deciding what the next place is gonna look like or feel like, because it's always like a progression. Like it's always like other places put together. It's always in the same neighborhood. In a way. Neighborhood feels like a bad word for it. I think neighborhood as a word is strict to just a couple genres. But like I'm not talking about Arcade Fire specifically.
That one album by Arcade Fire.
Rest in peace, the Suburbs.
I think music has such a hard time being defined. Like nobody knows what the fuck music is doing to us. And you don't know.
Like you don't want to like listen to someone talk about it too much where you're like, dude, music is just like this thing that like no one wants to like
transcend space.
Yeah, no one wants to labor over it. Everyone wants to just hear like the fun versions. Everyone wants to be like, music is like just the best time when you're like,
I'm worried.
Falling down the stairs a little bit, you're a little bit worried. You're sitting on the front porch. Things are a little bit good, they're a little bit bad. Like everyone has like their general descriptions of music.
Yeah.
Driving down the road a little bit, walking up the street a bit.
Yeah, just captured emotions. Things that's the humanity, right? It's like putting something that for some reason feels so human, but you can't explain why, into a couple of bars or into the sound of a synth or into a drum track with a
putting it into
harp.
The sound is so cool. It's such a good idea. The fact that you're like, when you're making something, you're correlating like, oh, I've got the synth sound. It completely gets across this message, like this emotion I'm trying to put out. Like when you're recording something and like you wanted to go to bed, but you're like, wait, I need to right now. And you put the song out, you put the feeling out and you get the like the sound you wanted and you're like, I'm glad I stayed up and did
Yeah.
this. Which
Yeah.
can happen. Like, you don't need to stay up and be miserable about it. It doesn't need to be when you're sad, but like, I think it's cute and cool that actually happens when you're going through like crazy times in your life. When, like, if you actually make yourself produce or actually make yourself write, you will come up with something, even though it's like, oh, haha, like, cool, I'll make myself right now, even though that feels like a stereotype and I'm actually miserable and I don't want to.
Yeah, or if you think you have nothing to say or whatever, just as an exercise.
But the fact that you can actually try and like do it and like come out with something is like just really interesting.
Yeah, wonderful, man. It's so wonderful. I think it's the most important thing, just to create a broader sense of humanity.
Yeah.
Because that's what that is to me. To me, art, music is
The whole like intertwined landscape of like art and music.
It's defining humanity.
But that pulls in like that's architecture, that's everything. That's like the way people interact, like the way people form like social scenes. A social scene without any tangible art, but with a defined form of interacting is like art as far as I'm concerned. Like if there's like a scene in which people all like work along certain paths, that's fully art to me.
Yeah.
If it's like some like fucking like BDSM scene, or if they're into like Magic the Gathering. Like if there's like rules and like structures in which this whole scene works.
Yeah, all those
art.
ideas
It's
of like
cool.
rules and structures, I think, are like built so deep within us or they're so deep in like in the way we perceive the world that you can like music like hacks it.
Dude, I want the world to perceive me.
Witness me, world.
Dude,
Witness
please, come on.
me. Cool. Well, shit. Do we have any more dumb shit to talk about? I don't know.
You got a question over
We'd
there?
probably talk another fucking 9
Big
hours,
bad boy.
but maybe we should wrap this up. Give our fans, our huge fan base, a break.
Let's do a little bit of a. I don't want to do anything other than what I've been trying to be, baby. And then 1, 2, 3, let's do it, yeah. I don't want to be anything other than what I've been trying to be, baby. Everyone says, do you want it? Do you? I don't. You go.
I don't know what song
I
that
just
is.
want to be.
Sounds familiar though.
I think we're set. I think we're good to go.
Yeah, we get to go.
Yeah.
Cool.
Thank you for having
You gonna
me.
throw that mic at
Is this
me?
leveler up? Is it leveler up?
It's LVLR.
Leveler.
The Leveler podcast. But you've been fantastic to talk to. It was so nice meeting you, man.
It's sick. It's been sick hanging out before and after the podcast. It's
Yeah,
gonna be
yeah.
dope afterwards too.
Yeah, we're gonna go to a popcorn festival after this. and
I gotta
just
go
eat all
practice
different
first. Then I
types
gotta go
of-
meet you. Yeah. We're going to mostly a cotton candy thing actually.
Yeah,
With
mostly
some popcorn.
cotton candy, I
Like
think. That's
aspects to it.
that's the second course. But where can people find you online on
Fireball Kid.
Fireball?
Okay.
One word?
Instagram. No, on Instagram it's a underscore Fireball underscore Kid.
Okay.
And then there are on all the streaming platforms. It's Fireball Kid or Eurostar. Eurostar is URA space star, like STAR. Or you can just look up Fireball Kid. You'll find us. We're collaborative. We're the same person. We're like good buds. Eurostar would have been here tonight, but he's shy.
Next time.
We're keeping the mystery alive.
Yeah, keep the mystery deep.
It's easy to be like, I always get to a point where I'm like, oh, like I've made good enough pop music, and then it's out for a month and I'm like, I can make better stuff. I can be more like important. And that'll be next. And then I'll bring Eurostar. I'll make him come.
Well, your music is so much fun to listen to. It's super positive, and very. It seems like it was very hard to make and easy to make at the same time.
That's extremely accurate.
Yeah. So thanks for being here. Check it out, Fireball Kid. Thanks everybody. Have a lovely day.
Have a
Sick, dude.
time for piss number 3.
That's a pod.
That's fun. I almost wish we'd gotten all of our like.